Chi sono? Sì, questo è facile. My name is Jared McNeill. I'm American by birth. I was born in Connecticut, and I joined up with a traveling company out of Paris called the Peter Brook company out of Bouffe du Nord, and sort of ran away with the circus for 10 years, traveling around, and landed here in Italy. Decided to stick around as long as I could. My most formative memories in the theater take place with those people, and not just Peter, but the people who worked around him, and not just Peter, but the people who worked around him. And so even the work that we're doing here in these days, a lot of it comes from the exercises of Peter, but a lot of that comes from his musician, long-time musician for many years, was named Toshi Tsuchitori, Bruce Myers. There was something about that work as well, where if you go to a place, you're taking the work into other settings that are maybe not so theatrical, but you're taking the work into settings that have more to do with the community sense, primal form of storytelling in a place. So if you went to New Zealand, you would want to have these encounters with the Maori, and have these, you end up at a nighttime fire festival, and so you get the opportunity to touch the sort of first storytelling, like in many of these places, like the sort of oldest stories preserved, and how are they told, and why do those stories continue? What elements exist within those stories that become recycled and retold, but still carry the same power? Like what exists in a gesture? What exists in a simple movement, or a few words, or a silence that continues to allow a story to be told? The sense that as long as we can tell these stories, as long as these stories persist, there's something of us that persists in that as well. So it's important which stories we choose to tell. Like as you grow, you sort of test your limbs and see, how far away is this? How far away is that? How much can I stretch? How big am I in this space, right? And you find yourself that way. The question would be, how could I tell a story if I could use the courtyard and the hallways and this space and everything like this? But whatever that story is, it's the same story that I can tell sitting in a circle. Idea of essentialism, right? And we talked about how that's very different than saying minimalism, because minimalism means that from the outset, from the beginning, I start with an idea. I say, I know at the end I'm going to arrive at this minimalist thing. This essentialism, you're not saying I know where it is. In fact, you're saying I'm going to go through everything I need to arrive somewhere. And along the way, I'm going to understand which pieces and which parts and what is essential and what is not. But all the things, right? How much time is essential? How many movements in one gesture to actually make that something transmit, right? And tied to that is work. There are many things that are magical, but it's not magic. Work is whatever can sort of create the connection from that invisible world to the concrete, practical world that is about, there are practices and there is work, and it can be real work and tiring and exhausting and your muscles shaking, and what Peter said, he said, well, it's difficult because it's difficult. Right? Like it is difficult, and so we can stop thinking about that part. You have a bad day where you spend 7 hours. One beautiful thing happened at 11 o'clock in the morning, and the rest of the day was was just awful. And you say, well, why would we return to this tomorrow? Like, the responsibility is not to be afraid to fall forward and then throw out all the mess. Because after all the mess and all the ideas, maybe at the bottom of everything, you get this one thing that becomes illuminating. Magical ma non è magia. And that's interesting, because you have moments where a silence is felt or something, right? But you can stop in these moments and you can say to the students, you should say, did you or did you not feel the air just change in the room? Right? And everyone says, oh yes, like the air just changed in the room. It's a fact, right? So something arrives, you arrive at a moment or an image or something, the air changes in the room. Everyone can feel it, coming from different days and everything like that, but in this moment we all took something from this, that, and that's the point of like the still point of the turning world, when all the focus is like collected here for this one moment. And that is, something awe-inspiring and beautiful, to fai lavoro con rispetto per te stesso e per gli altri. I think this is like an incredible experience, really, and it's rare because it doesn't happen. It's not so much the notion of bringing people together but there's not going to be this idea of at the end of this you better come with a product. It better come with something beautiful. However many years ago, where you really could have a place that was dedicated to a research, this kind of work then could turn into something, really translucent, really transcendent even, right? Because if we said, oh, at the end of this, there's going to be a big presentation, we're going to present our work at the end. Everyone would be thinking of that every day, and that's all they would be thinking about. And all of the moments of difficult work that you have to get through, you'd be saying, oh, no, because that day is coming. That would be the distraction that would hover over the entire process. Mission is be together, do the research, do the work, explore something new that maybe has been on your mind, and you can get other people to sit around that same fire with you and walk for 2.5 weeks. To me, it's beautiful just because it's so rare now. It existed 40 years ago. It doesn't exist now. It's a difficult proposition, but it needs to. It really does. And now, on top of that, to do that and bring in people from other cultures, other languages, other traditions of storytelling, other mythologies, and try to create that same thing in that context. I think you have something infinitely more rare in today's world. Look at where the world is going. You also have something that is infinitely more needed. See how anybody could not think that.